What's up, everybody? Welcome to Fantasy Sports Now. Today, in honor of opening day, I'm going to go through each team and give them a little tiered ranking. I saw this on another site the other day. I thought it was pretty cool, so we're just going to rank each team based off their category. You'll see in just a second. If you like what you see, hit me with a sub. I'm a no, nonsense kind of straight to the point kind of guy. So let's do that right now. Okay, so let's jump right in here. So first, this is the tier maker kind of app that I found. It's pretty cool, and the categories that I'm going to put these teams in today are World Series contenders, playoff contenders, wild card contenders, about 500, and no chance. So obviously, if you're in the World Series category, I think you can win the World Series. If you're in the playoff category, I think that you're likely a division winner or more of a shoe-in to make the playoffs than potential wild card team. Wild card, I think that you are likely to be in the hunt towards the end of the season. A 500 contender is more of a team that I think will not make the playoffs, but if they have a really good season, maybe they push towards a wild card, but they probably are not winning the division, kind of a thing. And then no chance are the teams that I think just don't have any chance of making the playoffs, regardless of how well they play, and we'll see how that goes. So I'm going to start, and I think I'm just going to go team by team at the bottom here. A lot of people will go tier by tier, but I'm just going to go team by team and just go straight across so you guys can see what's kind of upcoming and where your teams are at here. So LA Angels are first up, and I think that they're in a relatively tough division, and it's hard for me to say that with any certainty that they're going to make the playoffs at all. So for me, they're a wild card contender. Even though they generally end up in this category, I think that they'll more likely be a wild card contender again this year. Houston Astros seem to be the odds-on favorite to win the division, and I think I agree with that, and I'm going to put them in the playoff contender category here. I really don't think they're going to have much of a shot at the World Series, but I do think that they take this division, and so that's where they will go. Oakland Athletics, same division. I like that it's kind of been in the same division so far, even though it kind of looks like it steers away from that in a few minutes here. I'm putting them in the wild card contender category. I don't really see them winning the division. I don't think their pitching is strong enough. They lost Marcus Semien. I think that's going to be too much for them to overcome. I think they'll be right in there with the Angels, and I think that they'll be, kind of actually with Toronto here, who I'm also going to put in that wild card contender. I wanted to put them in the playoff contender spot, but I think the Yankees team is just too strong right now, and we'll see how that goes. But for right now, I think that likely Toronto is more of a wild card style team than a division winning team. Moving on to the Braves, it's going to be very similar here with the Braves, but I actually think that the Braves could win the division. I know that a lot of people are, I guess not people, but experts are down on the Braves for whatever reason this year. I think that's motivation. I think they were a game away from winning the World Series, a couple innings away from winning or going to the World Series. Sorry, I should say. They lost to the Dodgers, obviously, in Game 7 there. I think that they're going to be in contention all season, and I think that they will fight for the division. Ultimately, I think they'll lose the division, but that's okay. I still think they're going to be right there. Milwaukee, I want to put in the wild card contender spot, but somebody has to win this division, and I'm going to kind of do a quick. I think that's most likely going to be the Cubs or the Brewers, so I will put them there. I had St. Louis winning the division, but I'm kind of shying away from that a little bit now that I've seen the pitching situation. A lot of them are getting hurt. So I'm going to put St. Louis in the wild card contention spot, and the other two into the playoff contention, kind of division winners. I don't think the wild card's coming out of these three teams personally. I think that one of these teams has to win the division or they're all going to be out. Like, whoever wins the division's going, and whoever doesn't will be out. That's my prediction there. Arizona, right here under the 500 contender. I think that they might hit 500, maybe a little bit below that mark. Just too many injuries going on. We'll see what happens. I just don't see them being a wild card contender, especially with the NL being the way it is. LA Dodgers, obvious one for all of us, World Series contender. Returning champs, no doubt about it. San Francisco, I think, outperformed what they actually can do last year, and I don't really see how they got any much better. So they're going into my 500 contender category as well with Arizona. I don't see them competing for a wild card spot this year, especially, the big reason they were in it last year was because of the expanded playoffs. You got to remember that, guys. It's not expanded this year, so there's only 5 from each side going, so it's not going to be as easy as it was. Cleveland, I am going to put, actually, most people have them easily winning the division or the Twins right there. I don't agree with that, and I think at best they're going to be competing for a wild card spot. So that's where I have them there. I think they lost too much, and I think that it's going to catch up with them eventually, and I think this is the time for it to happen. Seattle, up and coming. Give them a couple years. I think it'll happen, but for now, I don't think they have any chance of winning the division or the wild card. I know Kelenick's going to come up and all that fun stuff, but that's going to be a while. And give them a couple years, I think they'll be there. Miami was actually a tough one because a lot of the experts say I should put them here, but I kind of like what they've been up to. I like that pitching. It's kind of a weird one. A lot of no names, but guys that had good seasons, and I think that that's going to carry over. And I have to put them in the wild card contention category after last year. Mets are also a weird one. I couldn't decide between the two of these. I think that on paper, I would put the Mets right here. In real life, whatever this, like, I don't know, voodoo curse is that they have, wants me to put them here. But I am going to go out more on a limb, and I'm going to put them in the World Series contender category this year. I think that they break this kind of curse, and we'll stick with that here. Washington, given the fact that I think the Mets are going to win the division pretty handedly, I'm going to put Washington in this wild card spot because if they don't win the division, that's all that's left for them. Moving off to the AL, it looks like it jumps around quite a bit now. It started off with one division, but now it's kind of jumping around. Orioles, they're not there yet. We all know this. I don't give them any chance of going anywhere near this. San Diego, I think this year, if any, is obvious as a World Series contender. What's unfortunate is both of these teams come from the same division, so one of them is going to win the division most likely, and the other one will end up in this wild card spot. So they'll have a game to prove themselves, which that part I don't really like about the playoff system, but it is what it is. Phillies are a lot like Washington to me. Very similar squads. They're very good squads. I think that if they're in a different division, I think that they would have a chance to actually win the division. But since I think that it's going to be such a grind, I'm putting them in that wild card contention spot. I think their most likely path to making the playoffs, not through the division, but through the wild card spot. Pittsburgh, no chance. Sorry, Pittsburgh. I know I've been there. We've been there. Tigers have been there. So I know how you feel. Texas, no chance as well. Similar. I think that they're better than probably the rest of these bottom teams right now, but they got a little ways to go here. Tampa Bay is the one that I've kind of called out a bit this year. I think that they've gotten worse, and I think that they kind of rode, not good luck, but they just rode some momentum. So for me, Tampa Bay, despite going to the World Series, is actually most likely for me in this wild card spot. I really don't think that they're going to be. I had them between these two because I really don't know if they're going to be what they were. But if they are, I'm going to put them here because they went to the World Series. I'll give them the benefit of the doubt here. The Reds got much worse, losing a bunch of guys here, a lot of injuries going on there. So for me right now, they still have a good enough team, I think, to get to 500 or be close to it. But for now, I don't see them popping into this wild card or playoff conversation. It's kind of this mediocre land that you don't really want to be in necessarily as a baseball team, which is where I'm going to put Boston as well. I think that of these teams right now, Boston has the most likely chance of maybe dipping into here, into this wild card spot. So I kind of have them in between a little bit here as well. But I got to put them right here. I think that they're going to be above 500. I think they'll just miss out on kind of this kind of group, this tier, though, if you will. Colorado, another obvious one after they sold Arenado. For me, they essentially gave up on their team. Granted, the team is actually not as bad as everybody's projecting. So really, I feel like they'd go between these two. But for this sake, I can't give them any chance to actually make the playoffs. Kansas City's got actually a pretty good roster this year. They're going in the 500 contender kind of territory, but I just don't see how they could win the division. It's just too tough, too much, too many good teams there. Tigers, my guys, yeah, there you go. No chance for my boys. I'm calling for like 2023 for them, kind of like some of these other teams, and hopefully we can move up next year when we do this rank. The Twins, for me, comes right up here at the playoff contender. a division potential winner. And it's more, I think that they'll be competing with the Chicago White Sox for the division. And if they don't get it, whichever other team has a really good chance of making that wild card spot. Chicago White Sox, I've been backing them pretty much the entire season. And this is from a Tigers fan. So I think that even with Eloy out, they still have so many good just pitching depth. Dylan Cease had 11 strikeouts in 5 innings yesterday. It's incredible. So I think that Chicago is going to be a World Series contender. So keep that in mind. And the Yankees, I'm putting them up there. I know they always have injury risks. They're always injured, and they're getting injured now. But on paper, kind of like the Mets, they should be a World Series contending team. They should win the division, and they should be good in October. So this is the final list, guys. Feel free to tell me where you agree or disagree. And I really look forward to watching some games today and filling you guys up with content. So that was a really weird way of saying that. Anyway, we'll see you next time, guys.